Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, and in today's tutorial we're going to be doing this rainbow ombre brushstrokes tumbler. I love how this came out, and if you want to learn how to do it, just keep watching. Alright, so I've already prepped and painted my cup. I will be using these three acrylic paints that I got from Hobby Lobby. It is Baby Pink, Morning Blue, and Citrus Yellow by Anitas. These are the three colors that you need to get all 6 colors of the rainbow, okay? So I'm coming in with my Baby Pink first, and I'm making sure I'm getting good coverage on my first coat. I did each section, I want to say about 3 inches of paint. It could be a little bit more. But I did make sure that each of my other sections were about the same amount of thickness as the pink. So I want all these to be about the same width, because when we come back in and we're blending our paints out, everything will blend together seamlessly. You can skip this step if you have spray paints. You would just need all 6 colors. I decided to use the acrylic paints because I really wanted to blend this out myself. And also, I wanted to get colors that I know I did not have in spray paint. So I just decided to use acrylic paints. And honestly, this was a lot easier for me and a lot less messy than it would have been if I was using spray paints. Because I know if I was using a spray paint, I would have had to blend over and over and over for me to get my desired look. All right, so now that we have applied our main colors, we are ready to come back in and start blending those colors out. So as you can see, I already blended out my pink and my blue to get purple. And then now we are blending our blue and green, blue and yellow to get green. Is a lot of strokes with this, back and forth and blending. And once that dried and I was done with my first layer, I was ready to come back in with my second layer. And guys, this is where we're really gonna focus on that blending, okay? So we want this to be as smooth as we can possibly get it. So I've blended out my pink and my blue on my sheet of paper just so I can see what color I will be getting when I am putting my second layer of paint on here, okay? So I'm just brushing that on and still blending it out as I'm brushing it on. I am taking a bit of the pink and putting it on the corner of my paintbrush, so that way I can get a good transition from my purple to pink, and also going in and doing the same thing with that blue, so I'm getting a good transition from the blue to the purple. Now I pretty much have my purple to pink and blue to purple transition pretty good. I'm just going to be doing a stroke motion with my paintbrush, going down only, not going back and forth, just going down because I don't want to mess up my blend. Okay, so once we are done with our blue to purple blend and our pink and purple blend, we are ready to move on to our next blend, which would be yellow and pink, so we can get our orange. So I'm adding a little bit more pink on here just to make that section a little bit bigger. And then on my paper, I'm going to be blending out my pink and my yellow so I can get my orange. Once I've blended that good enough, I'm going to go ahead and start brushing the blended color, which is the orange, onto my cup and just smoothing that out and brushing that back and forth. You really don't have to start doing the downward brush motion until you've already established your ombre and your blend between each color. So I got the color that I want, so now I'm just going to be brushing that down. And as you can see, that blends, y'all. And this orange is, I'm loving this color mixture that's on here right now. But as you can see, that pink to orange to yellow blend is gonna be like something amazing. This was my favorite side of the cup. Like, this blend did it for me. So now I'm adding more yellow on here because we are about to blend our last color, which would be the yellow to blue to get our green. So same as before, I'm mixing my colors on the paper first, just so I can get that blend color and paint that on my cup. So now I am doing the back and forth motion, putting my my color on there, and then I will be going in just the downward motion to get that nice blend. Okay, so now that I have my whole ombre established, I'm going to go back in and then I'm going to be adding more paint to where I need more and just go around and make sure everything is evened out. So I realized that there was more of this yellow than there was orange. So I'm going back in and bringing in some more orange. And I'm going to do the same with all my colors just to make sure that I have a good even blend all the way around. And once you've done that, this is the final result of our paint. And once that dries, we are ready to move into our mica layer. And we're going to be applying Tacket. All right, so now that we're ready for our Tacket, I went ahead and added 5 mLs of Tacket and 2.5 mLs of water, and I'm gonna mix that together. I added the water because they say you get a smoother application and you won't get no streaks, but I still got streaks. It could be because my brush is overused, but it wasn't that bad, honestly. Obviously I still went along with it, but I should have added, I think if I added more water, it would have been a lot more smoother, but you don't want to add too much water because the Tacket will lose its tack. After applying my Tacket and I was done with that coat, I went in and I dried it with my heat gun until it was tacky to the touch. And once it was tacky to the touch, I was ready to add my mica powder. You can use a brush to apply this, but I feel like you get better coverage if you're using your hands. So yeah, I got down and dirty and I used my hands for this part. When I tell you my hands were like super sparkly after this, they were like glistening like nobody's business. So I'm going to go ahead and start burnishing this on my tumbler. Look how pretty this is. And look at the purple and the blue. Like, look at that transition, that ombre, y'all. Like, I'm in love with this. So I'm going to make sure I get every single spot. I don't miss any spots because we don't want any bald spots. And I'm just going to burnish this all over my tumbler. After burnishing my mica powder, I did seal it in with Rust-Oleum 2x clear matte spray paint. I did 2 coats of that, and once that dried, after about 30 minutes, I was ready to come in with my Ombre Brushstrokes. All right, so a lot of you guys were asking me, what is an Ombre Brushstroke? Well, basically, it's the same way I did the rainbow base. So I took one paint color and the other paint color, and then I ombre them, mixed them together or blended them together. And then I brushed them on my tumbler over the mica powder. When you are doing your brush strokes, you want to make sure that you are doing it over the correct colors. So I'm coming in with my orange and yellow blend because I already blended out on my paper, so I have more of the orange on here. And I'm just going over that orange to yellow blend section, if that makes sense. So I'm gonna come in and do the same with my yellow and blue with the green. I'm going over part of that blue and part of that green to get that blended out. So with this, the reason why I did the brush strokes on top of the mica powder is because you want to get that contrast between the mica powder base and the paint brush strokes. Y'all, once this contrast is under epoxy, it is something beautiful. I did mess up a little over this yellow section where I had some blue, but I'm gonna go ahead and just add a little bit more yellow just so it can be more green. When you're doing these brush strokes, just make sure your transitions are there because you don't want any like harsh lines because this is an ombre and there's a lot of ombreing going on this cup. So just make sure you're practicing on a piece of paper or, you know, just doing a little bit more like strokes and stuff until you get your desired transition between your colors, which that's why I'm doing a lot of, you know, back and forth brushing on here before I actually brush it onto my cup. So for the brush strokes, the same thing as I did before, I used my heat gun to dry it, which dried it in less than 5 minutes. And once that was dry, I'm ready to come in with my needle tip precision bottle. It is filled with Mod Podge, and I did add some water so that way it can come through this little tiny precision tip without any trouble. So I'm just outlining my brush strokes in a scribble motion going back and forth. This is very easy, guys, and so simple. All you have to do is follow your brush strokes and you will get this beautiful effect. When it comes to your glitter, you either want to use an opal or an iridescent glitter. I am using a mix that I have. It is one of my mixes. It is not available. Hopefully I can find this, but you either want to use an opal or iridescent because you want this glitter to take on the colors that's underneath. You can use like a gold or whatever color you choose, which I think a gold would be super, super pretty. But I just went ahead and went with my opal iridescent mix, which I absolutely love and I'm obsessed with. But you can pretty much use any color glitter that you like. But I do highly recommend using an opal or an iridescent. Once I was done glittering my cup, I let that dry for about 40 minutes, and then I went in and I spray sealed it with Rust-Oleum's 2x Clear Matte Spray Paint. I did 3 coats of that because I didn't want any movement from my glitter at all. And once that was dry, I'm coming in with my first layer of epoxy. I'm using 30 mLs of a little extra ink epoxy. I love this stuff, y'all. It is absolutely amazing. After letting our first layer of epoxy dry for 6 hours, I am ready to come in with my second layer of epoxy. I'm using 20 mLs for my second layer, and we are going to smooth this out just like we did our first layer of epoxy and get good coverage. After our second layer of epoxy has fully dried for 24 hours, I am ready for my sanding. I'm just going in and I'm sanding down any pokey bits that I feel underneath the epoxy. And I'm just rubbing my finger across my tumbler just to see if I feel any rough spots. And if I do, I'm just going to sand those down. I'm going to make sure I get my rim really good and sand that down because epoxy can go over the top and into your cup, but you want to make sure you sand this down so that way you can establish your seal. Once I'm done sanding, I am going to wash this off with dish soap and water and make sure it's 100% dry before I add my final coat of epoxy. Y'all, this tumbler turned out so beautiful. I am so obsessed with the contrast between the paint, the glitter, and the mica powder. I want to thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all in my next video. Thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss a video. I'll see you all next time. Bye.